Hi, so here I'm going to show you how to create some custom configuration and to show you how to create some custom configuration and personal shortcuts for Trovo.net. So the first step is you need to have a GitHub account and you need to be logged into that account. If you don't have that, just create an account that's free. Once you have this account, you go on the page of Trovo, that is github.com/Trovo. And on that page, that organizations page, check for a repository called Trovo Data User. This is this one. Let's open this repository and we are going to fork this repository. So this is a boilerplate repo to create personal and custom settings. Yeah, you just go on with the usual default settings, creating a fork. So wait a moment, there it is. So now this repository is a repository in our account. My username here is Jorges, and I have the repo Trovo Data User. In this repo, I have two files that I'm concerned with. The one is config YAML. Let's open this one, and let's edit this file. So in config YAML, there's actually more documentation over here. So just open that link, but I'll just explain it briefly. First of all, there are the namespaces. As you know, every shortcut in Trovo is attached to one namespace, and there are namespaces for languages and for countries, and also for dictionaries, but the former ones are the relevant here. And so let's say if I want to mainly use shortcuts in German, I should change this to German. And let's say I'm from Austria, then I add here the Austrian namespace. This is the namespace part, but I also need to change the variables that will be used. So especially language, that's used for the Wikipedias. Countries not used so much, but we can also be consistent here. And I also can add more namespaces. Keep in mind that the deeper, the latter the namespace appears, the more priority it has. So let's say I also want to have shortcuts for the Spanish language. I should add it here because if there's a clash, they will be overridden by the German namespaces. Same also for the country of Spain. So there's always there's a different namespace for the language, Spanish, but there's also a namespace for Spain. This would be .es. So now with this configuration, I also do have shortcuts available from this country and this language. Here also I can set a default keyword. That means that if for every shortcut that is not recognized, this keyword is used. So if you want that Google is used as a default search engine, then this is the setting you should go with. Okay, we made the changes to our to what we want. Let's commit the changes. Just go with this. And we have our configuration. Let's save now. And now I also can set up shortcuts, personal and custom shortcuts. I do this in this file, shortcuts YAML. You already see some examples here. Let's just keep them. So I'll add, for example, a shortcut. Oops, frozen now. Now it's working. So let's say I want to add some shortcuts. I edit this file and I have to add it in YAML format. And let's just say we want to add a shortcut for GitHub. And let's call the shortcut, the keyword we use shall be GH. Then we write GH and we have to add the number of arguments of the shortcut. So let's say we only want to have a shortcut to the GitHub main page. Then we write GitHub 0 and behind is the URL. And another option is also we can have a shortcut that takes an argument. So we write GH and 1. And then we add, let's say, github.com, and it will always search for a user. So as you see, the parameters have to be in these brackets that you know from HTML. And as you see, this is the short notation. So in the short notation, I only have a URL. I can also use the long notation, which I actually just will change now. The long notation, I need to name the attributes. So actually, this is still the same if I just add the URL. But if I have the long notation, I also can add some other data like a title. So I can say my personal GitHub shortcut. And what's nice now is the include function. So I can right here include, and then let's say key G0. And that means that all the data that is not set in this shortcut, GH1, is taken from, from GH0. Yeah, needs to be correct. And include comes very handy because I can also include from other namespaces. So I know that in the namespace, in the global namespace, which is called O, there is a shortcut for npm, and I want to use this shortcut only for with n. So I would write the following: include key npm1, and it comes from namespace O. O is the global namespace. It's named after the shape of our planet, which is just a circle. All right, so we got our changes. That's all. Just commit. Make sure there's no YAML syntax error. It might be interesting to use a YAML linter, but I think that looks fine. Commit the changes. And now is we are at the part how to use these shortcuts. So we open Trovo. And here in Trovo, there is the settings. And we use the advanced settings. And here we set our username, Jorges. Close. And it now opens Trovo again with my settings. And let's see, do we have a git-gh shortcut? We do. There is my personal GitHub shortcut. I can also call it with a user. So let's see if it opens my GitHub user page. Yep, looks good. What else? We have, do I have my own npm shortcut? Yes, I do. So as you see, there is an N shortcut with no argument for Netflix, but I also have my own personal npm shortcut. Like this is the original one in O, but I also have now mine only with N. So let's say if we, let's look for a YAML package on npm. Yep, looks good. Yeah, so that's it. If you have any questions, just keep asking in the comments. What I also can tell you, you always notice here in the address bar, which is not visible yet, but in the address bar, the address bar looks like this. So instead of going to the settings, I also can simply set it as a get parameter. And this is also relevant if you want to add now this Trovo configuration to your browser, then you have to write GitHub equals and then your username. And there's something important I have to add. So if you make changes to your GitHub, then you can tell Trovo to immediately use them by calling reload. So this is here on the menu, reload shortcuts. And as is then, this should now update all the data that I have added to GitHub. It's also possible that the changes are not immediately reflected because GitHub uses some caching. So sometimes you need to wait up to 5 minutes. So to call the reload again via the menu up here, or you can also just type in reload. That's the same.